rapport that they sort of just burst the clip, didn't
they? Yeah. Listen, we're a good side. No, just a bit more polished with the footy than what we were. We beat them at clearance. They've been a really good clearance side for the year. So we beat them convincingly in that space, which is a real positive for us. But probably just on the outside, even though we had the ball slightly more than they did over the course of the game, they just had just a bit more polish with the footy than what we did, and were able to find greater passages of play because of their cleanness with the footy. Whereas a lot of our possession when we got into open space was a little bit rushed and too quick. If you go too quick, then it puts pressure on the execution of your skills, and that's a little bit to do with the credit of the Essendon side in terms of the pressure they applied. But there are also moments where we didn't need to go so quick with the footy because we had a mark or a free kick, and we chose to liven up the play. Essendon were just so much better than us today at being able to just get composed when they needed to, change the direction of the footy, and I thought that was the difference in the two sides over the course of the game. We're really, really competitive, obviously, but disappointed that the game got away from us in that third quarter.
And marks inside 50 seemed to be a really big part of the game as well. I think they ended up doubling you 18-9.
Yeah, well, that's a reflection of exactly what I was just saying. The passages of ball movement ended up so often in a Essendon mark and composure. 30 seconds, defence catches up. They can have a shot at goal from a mark inside their 50, and whether they score a goal or not, it's usually either a point or an out on the full if it's not a goal, and we get possession but it's right deep. We've got to start again right from the back end of the ground or a centre bounce. So that was the difference in the sides. I thought that they were able to get those composed marks inside 50 and control the game just a little bit more than what we were. And when the avalanche happened in the third quarter, we just couldn't stop that part of the game in particular.
I know you said there was a lot of polish, and that was probably the difference between the two sides, mainly today. Was there were you happy with the decision making? Obviously, like trying to play quickly and move the ball forward. I guess beat Essendon on the way forward.
No, that's what I'm saying. I weren't happy with the decision making. Essendon's decision making in that space was a hell of a lot better than ours, and we tried to liven up balls that we didn't need to. So we'll continue to work on that. And if we're going to be a good side, the good sides continue to just know when to go quick and when to slow it down. And unfortunately, Essendon were much sharper than us in that space today.
Clarko, Will Dawson's first game, you gave him a big job on Peter Wright, and obviously there was a fair bit of ball coming down. But how did you rate his performance?
Yeah, he did.
Sort of keeping him upbeat during the match.
Yeah, he did okay, the big fella. We drafted him as a 17-year-old kid. He hadn't even turned 18. The youngest kid in the draft, and we feel like he's going to be a really important player for us in the future. But he's just learning his craft. It's a great credit to him that he's integrated into our club really, really well. And Liam Gather boy, country lad, just soul of the earth type of lad. Just plays for his mates. And has always been that way, no matter whether you're playing at Liam Gather or playing with the Kangas or the Gippy Power. So we're really pleased with his progress. And people said about what are you doing about your key position stocks and that sort of stuff. Well, he's one. Charlie Comben continues to do some really good things for us in the back end too, and we're pleased with the progress that some of those guys are making. But it's just going to take some time for them, and he's hopefully going to be a good player for us for a long time.
Talking about that structure, obviously Pink came in as well. You sent him forward. You're really committed to Comben down back.
Well, he's been riddled with injury over the course of his 4 or 5 year career. I think it's about the 4th or 5th year in the system, and just thought it might be able to. Like, he has never played back before this year, so we just wanted to settle him into a position behind the ball where he could read the play and perhaps not be involved in as many pack marking situations at the back end rather than the front end. usually your defenders and your midfielders outnumber the forwards when you're in packs, and he's just found himself to be injury prone forward to the footy. So we'll try him at the back end just to get his career going a little bit, hopefully. But he's played that position really well for us in the year to date. Where he ends up settling, I would hope for the balance of our side that he'll end up going forward again, and because he is capable in the ruck as well, and he just provides you that perfect forward ruck type of combination. But right at the present time, we're having to sacrifice our sider a little bit to just allow him to get continuity with his footy. But we're pleased to do that, just so that we know that he's going to be an important player for us in the years ahead.
I think the last 29 games you've lost the contested possessions. I mean, how alarming is that for you, or can you sort of see that turning around at some stage in the future, or how do you sort of see that?
Yeah, it's a concern, and some of that is just personnel. As I said, that's the perfect example. I mean, we lost the contested marks today, 14-2, and so they're the Essendon. They're a big, strong side, and you'd expect that perhaps they'd be dominant in that area of the game. But like 14-2 is a smashing in that space, and I thought they just controlled the aerial contest a hell of a lot better. But we're having to make some pretty significant sacrifices. We lost Coleman Jones in the third game of the year to Achilles out for the year. He's one of those tall targets. We're having to play as a tall target. Zerha in a different stage as Curtis. Zane Dersmer in his first season at the club. So it's hardly their big imposing figures. When you compare that to the opposition today. So we can't do anything about that except give these younger ones some exposure to it, and hopefully get some of these guys back at. But that's the marking side of the contested ball stuff. In terms of ground level stuff, we just need to get better at that over the journey. But you're right, until you can get parity around some contested ball stuff, which ironically enough we had in the first quarter, but we just couldn't maintain it. And that's a credit to the Essendon side. They've been really good in that space over the course of the year.
I guess it's obviously now 10 losses in a row now. How hard is it, or easy is it? I don't know how to keep the players up, and also I guess more broadly the fans. I mean, how much of a challenge is it to keep them engaged and I guess excited with the club? I guess.
Yeah, well, we've spoken about the journey. We know we're at it as a footy club, and hopefully the fans, the last couple of times we've played here, was a better effort against St Kilda. Here today, we won 2 quarters today, which was pleasing for us. Obviously fell away badly in the third, but as long as they're seeing the Will Dawsons playing their first games and the potential of a Zane Dersmer and some of the things you do, they're just not getting they need to read the game better as they get more accustomed to the speed of the game. But you've just got to give them that exposure to it, and I think the fans are recognising that. Like even the effort, the disappointing part about going to Darwin last week is we put in a tremendous effort up there, still lost by 10 goals. A bit demoralising really, when we thought we actually competed pretty well. And then you go and watch the Cats go up there and realise, geez, it is pretty tough to go up there. Even a great side like Geelong couldn't get up there and do any better than what we did, really. So it's a tough competition. Our lads are getting great exposure to it. I'm hoping our fans are liking some of the things that they're seeing along the way. But we just got to build that up so that it becomes in more moments in games and greater consistency across games, and then we'll slowly start winning 3 quarters instead of only 2, or 2 quarters instead of only 1, and just give ourselves a chance to be in the game. We're in the game at half time. They smashed us in the third quarter, and it didn't give us enough time to actually pull that back in the last. So as long as our fans are seeing that our boys are having a go and there's some progress there, then we don't really. We hate losing games of footy, but we know it's just part of the journey for us just at the current time.
From a player perspective, is it easier to how much of a challenge is it to keep their spirits up? I guess when you just, as you say, just keep losing games.
Well, they're no different to the fans, really, and they just need to see the things that they did well to have them in the game for 3 quarters in this particular game, and then some of the things that we did in the third quarter that we let ourselves down in. And In other games that we've only played one decent quarter and then fallen away in three. So today at least we played pretty well in 3 quarters, and it was only the 1 quarter. But the problem with this particular game is that 1 quarter we got smashed by over 6 goals. So we'll just keep chipping away, and hopefully both the players and our fans are both the same in terms of just seeing little things along the way, just evidence that if we continue to stay galvanised and work hard, that every bit of exposure that we get, even if you might think it might be tough being winless at this point in the year, but we've got another 13 games. I mean, it's just great for our footy club that these players get exposure to this level of footy and how they can get better and understand the standard they need to get to be competitive in this league.
How bad are these Miles Bowman's?
He'll get scanned during the week, but bad enough to be taken out of the game. So when it's a soft tissue injury like that, I can't remember one that's recovered in time to play the next week. So he'd be pretty significant down, I'd imagine. But then it's just the severity of the injury. Is it a 2 or 3 week, or is it longer? But we'll get the scan during the week, and I'll let you know once we get the result of the scan.
Simpkin, Archer and Greenwood both out of the extended squad, just days out from the game. Are you expecting to have them back as well?
Yeah, well, hoping so. It's both sides. It was a bit of a circus. Friday, I think we rang Essendon and the AFL 2 or 3 times to change around our emergency list and who was in and who was out. With Huey going out and also Arch. Jai Simpkin didn't come up. So the side that we had selected on Thursday was very, very different to the one that ran out. And that presented a couple of opportunities. Like young Will Dawson got his chance because of that today, which is exciting for him and us. But it was just a bit unsettling. Essendon had their own issues. I'm not sure what happened with young Cox and also with Parrish, but they were late withdrawals for them. So sometimes it's tough. I mean, sometimes they're just little niggles, and you just need to give your boys a rest. And that was the case with those guys. So I'd be hopeful that they'd both be available to play next week.
Clark, first season at Hawthorn as coach, finished 3rd last, and then 3 years later win a flag. With the group you have now up north, how quickly do you think you can turn it around?
Who knows? The game. We know we've got to go to the draft and try to secure some more talent into our footy club. We know we're not quite there at the moment. And I think the 3rd quarter showed that today, and probably over the course of the game, the Essendon side, as you said, were just a little bit more polished. But as we're seeing with some of their guys who, some of the Essendon players have been around for 4, 5, 6 years now, and the criticism or the standard that we're playing at the moment was perhaps the Essendon side 3, 4, 5 years ago. So we just know that this process doesn't happen quickly. It can in some instances, like the Baby Bombers, ironically enough, in 93 came from nowhere, from 92 to 93. A lot of those kids played in Dennis Pagan's reserve side in 92, premiership side, and then saluted in the seniors the next year. The McCurries and the Herds and these sorts of guys. Mercedes, Ola Renshaw, there's a stack of them that came through really, really quickly and really well. But it's not the norm. So Hawthorn getting up and saluting in 4 years was quicker than most clubs do it. So we're not using that as the benchmark. We'd love it to be that way, but we just know it's a lot tougher than that, particularly nowadays, where it's a lot more difficult to bring talent into your footy club. There's compromises everywhere in terms of being able to bring talent in. So it's a little bit more difficult, which makes it a little bit more painstaking for teams that are down the lower echelons of the ladder to get themselves back up to really compete. So we know that's some of the constraints that are imposed on clubs, and it just makes it a difficult road. But it's a road that we're prepared to tread.